What's going on, Backyarders? It's really awesome that you joined me today. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about my home brewing. I'm going to go over the latest beer that I brewed. I'm going to give you some updates on the equipment that I'm using now and give you an idea of what to look forward to in the near future. If you've been keeping track of my journey with home brewing, you'll know that I'm a big fan of the New England IPA style beers. I predicted they would be a major hit, and if your breweries are anything like the breweries around this area here on the mid-Atlantic coast of the United States, New England IPAs are exactly doing what I thought they would, and that is just making a boom. People are loving them. Breweries are putting their style on this style of beer, and so what you're coming up with is some really fascinating recipes and any IPA style beers. There's a large variety, and there's just a great selection out there of this style beer. It's starting to fade off now. And that kind of matches my my feel with them, my feelings for them. I just went all in when I first found that style beer, and everything I was buying was an EIPA. And it's kind of like I did with the pumpkin flavor like 8-9 years ago when it was before it became popular. Somebody was serving something pumpkin, and I just fell in love with the pumpkin flavor. But I fell in love with it so much that I just consumed way too much of it, and I've been sick of it ever since. Right up until about this year, I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit again. I won't say that I've gotten sick of any IPAs, but I definitely cut back on my brewing of them, as well as what I'm buying at the stores in the breweries. That kind of leads me to this beer. This is one of the two beers I have on tap right now. This is the Lunar Shock. I posted the brewing video a couple of weeks ago, depending on when you're watching this. This was more of it's a Blue Moon clone. So if you enjoy Blue Moon like I do, that's like my go-to beer, right? Like, I mean, you're at a bar or a restaurant or whatever, and they don't have a whole lot, or you just want a basic beer, or whatever. Blue Moon is just my go-to beer. Most places have Blue Moon, and I enjoy the flavor. I used to hate it, to be honest with you. Probably 5 or 6 years ago, that's really when I started appreciating the flavor of Blue Moon and the complexity of it. I think it's a wonderful beer. So I wanted to try to brew a beer that was like Blue Moon. And so I got this recipe from More Beer, and that's where I get most of my stuff anymore is from More Beer, whether it's equipment, recipes, or whatever. Just a great company. They take care of you. They get your orders out quickly, and brewing can be very frustrating. So you want to be working with a vendor that kind of helps take the frustration out of it. And I think More Beer does a good job at that. Hit the brakes on the criticism as far as using local stores, because in my area, the only local store that I knew of where I could get equipment and grains and things for the recipes went out of business, and it was barely struggling to have enough to really warrant me going there anyway. It wasn't close, and I don't know of another one anywhere nearby. So I have to order it through the mail, and I have to pay a little more because of shipping, but I don't really have a choice. Like, I'm not going to drive 75 miles to get to a home brew shop. But anyway, I took my stab at a recipe that was already formed with More Beer, and I wanted to see how much it tasted like Blue Moon. And if you watch the brew video, I'll have the link up above. I think I was pretty careful about my water chemistry and the brewing process, and I think I did pretty good. I'm sure it's not perfect, and if you guys see anything that I did wrong, I would greatly appreciate the suggestions or constructive criticism. I'm trying to improve my brewing, and when knowledgeable people, point out things, it helps. But the beer came out a hit. It's a very clean beer. It doesn't taste like Blue Moon, I'm going to be honest with you. But I don't think the recipe is really that close to what Blue Moon's actual ingredients are, or the amounts of them. It has wheat, but there's so many different variations of the grains and the flavors. I put the orange peel in, but I didn't put the coriander, or not much of it anyway. It's just a little too spicy, and I don't taste a lot of that in Blue Moon. So either they're brewing or using it in a method that is different than what they're calling for in some of these recipes, or I'm not sure what the deal is there. When you look up Blue Moon and all the recipes that people have come up with to imitate Blue Moon, they all have coriander and orange peel, and I don't taste a lot of coriander in the actual Blue Moon. So I wanted to try this recipe without it and just go heavy on the orange peel. So like I said, you can check out the brew video to get the details, but it turned out good. And I've had it on tap for several months now, and it's just about gone. And my friends that have come over this summer have liked it. It's a clean beer. It's a refreshing beer. The alcohol is low, so it's not exactly a session beer, but it's a drinkable beer that, like a party beer where you can drink quite a few of them. And it's not going to put you on your butt, but it tastes good. And so I just wanted to taste it and tell you about it on camera, and give you my thoughts about More Beer's Blue Moon clone. And the nose is still just, it's probably, the only way I can describe it, it's just a very fresh scent. A lot of times in the past, the beers that I've brewed, the flavor, the smell, the aroma just doesn't come through the way I was expecting it to. And this one is no different. It doesn't smell like Blue Moon, but it does smell really fresh. And it's probably the freshest smell I've gotten from a beer that I've brewed. So I enjoy that. I think that's a wonderful smell. You can smell the orange peel. And, that's a good thing, because I think that's definitely a major ingredient when it comes to Blue Moon. I haven't been drinking it with a slice of orange like I normally do with Blue Moon. But, I think it definitely has a lot of bold orange flavor. And so I think the way that I brewed it with that orange peel, I think really paid off. So cheers. It's just a good beer. I've definitely bought much worse beer than this. And that's awesome. When your brewing starts getting to the point where you're competing with beers that you're buying at the store, that's huge. And I think that's right about where I've gotten to with this beer. It's been a long journey, and brewing can be very frustrating. But this beer is an enjoyable beer, and it has been since the day that I tapped it all the way through until getting close to the end. And it just has a very, it's got the wheat just comes through, and you can see it. It's cloudy, it's hazy, which I like a cloudy, hazy beer most of the time. It's got a lot of body, and I love the flavor. It's just something about the actual Blue Moon beer. They have something in that recipe that, there's just something missing in this, or something's off when it comes to comparing the two. I seriously don't think it was anything to do with the brewing process, because, when you do something wrong in the brewing process, you can usually pick up on it when it comes to aromas and flavors. And they're not normally fresh. You get like an off flavor, an off aroma, and it's not fresh. You don't describe it as fresh generally, or I don't. And everything about this beer is fresh, and it just smells wonderful. It tastes clean. It tastes crisp. but it's not Blue Moon. But it's a really good beer. And so I would definitely brew this beer again. I would no longer call it a Blue Moon clone. I just call it what it is. And that way there's no letdown or expectations associated with the Blue Moon profile that you're thinking you're going to drink. If anybody has any solid advice or solid ideas as far as the actual Blue Moon recipe, be awesome. Leave that down in the comments so we can all take a look at that. So this is my current brewing setup, and I think it's changed a little bit since the last time that you saw it. I'm using the SS Brewtech 304 mash tun, quick disconnects and ball valve. And one of the most important things, and the reason that I went with this unit, the mash temperature is so important, and I don't want to be taking the lid on and off, to tell what the temperature is. So this has been a lot, and it's improved the quality of my beer a lot. So there's a quick disconnect for the mash tun, and I'll show you why I have that there. And it's for my sparge. So this tube here comes from the quick disconnect. And then underneath is the sparge device that I use. And I love this thing. I love this setup. It's a wonderful, easy setup, and I get great results with it. This, I think, is the new addition to the brewing setup, and this is my hot liquor tank. It's a SS Brewtech 304 stainless 10-gallon HLT, and it has the quick disconnects so that I can get the hoses on and off quickly. Beautiful piece of equipment. I am using just this as far as getting temperatures right now. And the reason for that was I went to install one of these over here, and I had leaks. So I'm gonna have to get some new gaskets or something going on here to get it done so that I don't have the leaks. I'm using the same kettle I always have been. That's the Blickman Boilermaker. Love this thing. The only thing I don't like is this glass tube here. It's pretty, it's just a lot of steps in cleaning it. And I'm not a big fan of that. I think it could probably be done in a simpler way. Quick disconnects, and that way I can get my hoses on and off of these guys very quickly. And the reason I have the quick disconnects is because of the pump. I have the quick disconnects on the pump. I'm almost always moving the beer, rather it's just recycling or sparging or moving from one container to another. So it's just nice to have the pump. The pump helps, avoid any problems as far as lifting these heavy things and dumping them one into the other. It's a real nice device. And if you're getting into brewing and you don't have a pump yet, you really need to look at getting a pump. Now this is my fridge. And there's my fermenter. Absolutely love this SS Brewtech fermenter. It's top of the line. It has incredible fittings. Makes everything so simple, so easy. Cleaning is a breeze. And it's just, it costs a little bit of money. When you go from bucket to something like this, guys, it's so worth your investment. Just a wonderful, wonderful piece of equipment. And I keep it in this fridge. This fridge I got real cheap. It was on sale, and I thought it would be perfect for this. I control it with my Inkbird controller. So the fridge plugs directly into the controller, then the controller into the receptacle, and I can maintain temps within whatever intervals I want. Whatever temp, within 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, or whatever I want to set it up to. That's it, Backyarders. I appreciate you tuning in. It means a lot that you support and follow my journey, both with the barbecue world and with the home brewing world. I look for advice when it comes to home brewing because I'm still very new at it, and it's just cool that you're following my journey. So if you have any advice, you have any tips, you have any pointers, leave those in the comments down below. It's going to help not just me, but all the people that are watching that are going through or starting or considering a homebrew journey as well. It's a wonderful community here on YouTube for the brewers, the home brewers. Everybody's usually really supportive, and you don't get a whole lot of nasty comments, which is really nice. It's not always like that on the barbecue side. On the barbecue side of the channel, we definitely get some troll comments and some just ignorant comments that are just senseless sometimes. But with the home brew, it's really cool. It's a positive environment, and I love that everybody involved that I've talked to is along those lines and just very supportive. So thank you. Be looking forward to a couple upcoming brews. I don't brew in the wintertime much because I brew out in my detached garage. It doesn't have any real heat. I just use space heaters. And when temperatures dive below freezing, it's just very frustrating to brew beer. So what I do is I generally brew most of my beers in the spring and in the fall. In the spring, I think I did three beers this last spring, and I have plans to do 3 beers this fall. I'm gonna do a dark beer. I'm gonna do a IPA beer. And I'm also looking, depending on what kind of advice I get or tips, I'm also looking at creating my own recipe based a little bit off of this guy, but I want to try to get it to be more like Blue Moon. Now, I'm not gonna call it a Blue Moon clone until I nail that flavor and I got it. And it's not about, I know I could just go to the store and buy Blue Moon, but it's kind of the chase. It's kind of the reward when it comes to home brewing is to set a goal and then hit it. And it takes a while. You don't just accomplish that right away. You have to learn how you can adjust things, how you can adjust your chemistry, how you can adjust your ingredients, how you can adjust your timing of things to get that perfect flavor. And that's a big part of the draw for me when it comes to home brewing. So yeah, I know I can go to the store and just buy Blue Moon. But if I can get a beer that I can brew and get it real close to Blue Moon, that's really awesome. Just to be able to accomplish that. These are professional brewers that are making these beers, and they've been doing this off, patented recipes that no one knows really what the ingredients are. We're just all guessing based on our experience, I think. But I think that's my goals for this fall, is to do a coffee beer, some sort of like coffee chocolatey type of porter or maybe stout, and an IPA. Probably just stay on the IPA side rather than doing a bunch of dry hopping and calling it any IPA. And it'd probably be a little bit lower on the bitterness scale, more of a like session / IPA. And then this Blue Moon, I'm gonna revise my ingredients for this Blue Moon clone and see if I can get closer to what actual Blue Moon tastes like. So stick around to the channel. I got a lot of stuff coming up, and I can't wait to see you on the next video.